Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Moose Trail. I'm your host, Chris the Moose Johnson, and today is a very, very special episode. It's the finale. It's the very last one of all the Moose Trails, at least in name, not in spirit. So I'm going to be doing one last one. There's no one else with us today. It's a little song and dance, you and me. Let's talk about the NFL. Let's talk about the future of everything, and let's see what we're going to get into. And we'll get a little sentimental probably at the end of this. So let's get right into it. We got a lot to go over today. We have all 32 teams we're going to talk about because I don't want to discriminate nobody and give no bias to any team. So let's get some real talking points in, and let's get some really show my knowledge on football. So let's first start off with the standings on the NFL. We do have a lot of teams going on. We have the Detroit Lions, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Vikings, the Eagles, the Bills in the top 5. And then in our top 10 to round it out, we have the Steelers, Packers, Ravens, Broncos, and Texans, with the Chargers and the Seahawks and the Commanders all being tied at that 8-5 margin, try to stay themselves in at the top 10 spot, but they're all within the 13 range. So we have a lot of teams going in, we have a lot of teams competing for spots, and we have a lot of teams that we're going to have probably a losing team in the NFC South make it to the playoffs, but we'll get into that more looking into the future because we have to talk about our bad teams as we have the back end of our teams. That is right. We have the Falcons, we have the Colts, we have the Dolphins, we have the 49ers, we have the Bengals, Cowboys, Saints, Bears, and of course, the battle for the number 1 pick in between the Giants and the Raiders, which is going to be an absolute just slugfest of how bad can we be because we need a new quarterback this year and this year badly. So we'll see. We'll talk more about that as we go on because we got to get into our playoff picture. That's right. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at 12-1. They're going to be pulling away because surprisingly, the Bills lost to the Rams, and that means they slipped to 10-3. And then, of course, we got the Steelers tied 10-3, and they're 2 games ahead of the pack right now in the playoffs as everybody else is 8-5, and they're trying to continue their strength going into the playoffs. But we have other teams like the Bengals, like the Dolphins, like the Colts, chomping at the bit for any team to slip up and give them a chance to get into the playoffs. But that's just for the AFC. It looks like they're going to be staying the way they is because I don't think any of those teams are going to stop them. And then the NFC, we have a lot more to talk about because a lot is going on. The NFC West, the NFC South, a lot of change in there. A lot of people going to continue to fight for their spots because we have a lot of close games. We have a lot of close conferences. We have the Eagles and the Lions at top of the complete NFC right now. The Vikings are going to keep the Lions winning games every single week because they're going to be pressuring them with the 11-2 record, but we'll see if they can keep that going the rest of the year. I really don't think they will. The Eagles are 11-2 as well, and that team is a very dangerous team as they have a Saquon Barkley MVP candidate on their team, and Jalen Hurts is playing just as well as Josh Allen. People want to talk about that yet. It's just he's not throwing for as many passing yards. He's running for those yards instead, and is getting those touchdowns on the ground as well as touchdowns through the air. So we'll see if the Eagles can keep it up and continue to be as strong as the other team in the AFC and the Bills. And the Lions, can they continue to be the juggernaut that they are? Everybody else is continuing to fight for their spots as we have the Seahawks pulling away of the NFC West with them being 8-5 against the 7-6 Rams and the 6-7 Cardinals. We're not going to see the 49ers make their way back in the playoffs. This is the year that they're going to struggle and probably not make it back to the playoffs as they did the last time they lost Super Bowl the year before. So we're going to talk about the Buccaneers, though, real quick, because the Buccaneers, they just pulled around and they just took the NFC South lead. We've had the Falcons in this playoff picture for such a long time, and the Buccaneers weren't even in the hunt until last week, and that is when me and Matt both said that, hey, watch out, the Buccaneers are probably going to take this division, and the Buccaneers have taken the lead, and I don't think they're going to be giving it up anytime soon at the back end of this season. So, a lot to talk about there, but we got to go over to our worst teams in the NFL because we got to talk about the top 10 in the NFL draft. A lot of teams that have hope for next season. That's right, hope for next season because they don't got no hope for this season. There's a lot of teams that are struggling this year as right now, according to the NFL.com, according to NFL, the Giants have the number 1 pick right now, not the Raiders. It's very close. They're tied. They're tied teams right now, but we'll talk about their rest of the year predictions as we get into it. But we're going to go into this as the Giants, number 1, Raiders 2, number 3 is the Patriots, 4, Panthers 5, Browns 6, Jets. And we're going to keep on going into this because, look, a lot of these teams, Jaguars were supposed to be a top 3 pick, but they won back-to-back games, and now that team is at number 8. They dropped that fast. So it can just turn around like that for most of these teams, and losing their spot in this top 10 draft. They have a lot of hope coming into it. A lot of them need a lot of things to go right. I mean, the Giants need a quarterback. Raiders need a quarterback. Panthers maybe need a quarterback. Patriots need a skill player. The Browns need a quarterback. Jets need a quarterback. Titans need a quarterback. Jaguars might need a quarterback. Saints need a quarterback. All those teams need quarterbacks, and there's not even enough quarterbacks to go around this draft class. It's not a good draft class for quarterbacks. There's a lot of quarterbacks. I think it's going to be like maybe Shedeur Sanders, maybe Cam Ward. We might see Jackson Dart in the second, third round, but like that's about the only guys I can see really succeeding right now. And we'll see if these teams continue to win next year with no quarterback, or if they go in the offseason and sign somebody. So a lot of things can go right or wrong for these back-end teams. We'll see as the draft gets closer. I think it's going to be Raiders and Giants both getting the quarterbacks of the top end in this draft class. I don't see anybody else really getting a successful one in this draft. As we're going to move forward, we got the Moose versus the Machine. And guess what? I have 101 reasons for you to listen to me on my picks. But the Moose stat has 104 reasons. So I can't even be mad at it. They have 104 wins to 101 wins, 101 and 43 to 104 and 40. The Moose stat is winning right now. As, look, we got a lot to go over. We had to talk about my predictions from last week. I went on an absolute tear, and I thought I was going to go undefeated last week, but that didn't happen at all, as I went on an 8-game winning streak, and then I lost 2 in a row with the Cardinals and the Bills, both losing games that I thought they should have won. The Bills tried their best to win, but they couldn't stop a nosebleed that game, and the Bills just ended up losing out in the end of the game. Just absolute heartbreak. Rams just playing just absolute juggernaut killer right now, and that was a great game to watch. I also had the 49ers winning, and I had the Chargers beating the Chiefs. I should have probably picked the Chiefs. That's just me thinking the Chiefs are going to fall off sooner or later. You cannot win 10 games by 1-point margin and expect to win the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. I don't believe it. They'll lose in the playoffs. I have full faith in that. The Bengals I also picked to win, but that's not just me picking it because we have Felzy's picks. And Felzy, look, man, you did pretty good last week. You had 5 missed games. He also went, though, 8 wins. So he had 8 and 5. Really good week for Felzy. Missed on a few, had his bias with the Bears. Makes sense. Falcons, I didn't really agree with that one or the Titans game. I know Mac Jones was in the game, but hey, look, it doesn't matter. The Jaguars are a team that's looking to be able to upset their other divisional rivals, and they were able to upset the Titans big time that game. And then the Bills and Cardinals, I think everybody picked those games, and they all got them wrong, unless you're a Seahawks fan or a Rams fan, and you picked against those two. So nothing too surprising with his picks losing. The Moose stat almost had the same record I did. Actually, it did have the same record I did, but it almost had the exact same picks I did. So very close there. It picked the Chiefs over the Chargers, and it picked the Titans over the Jaguars. So those two swapped between us, and that's why we were only 1 game basically away from, I thought, winning this or losing this also. Very close between me and the Moose stat again this week. Another deadlock week. The Moose stat, I think, is going to be able to pull away for the rest of the year. Very, very upsetting. But before we go into it, we got to talk into our actual predictions for Week 15, and we'll get into why I'm being so cryptic about later stuff in this episode, because we have a lot to talk about still. We have a lot of slides to go over. We got a lot of teams to talk about. Week 15, those are my picks. We'll go more into them as we get into this. And same thing here with the Moose stat, because we have a lot to go over. Too much to talk about, really. Might be a little bit too much time on our hands. So we're going to get into this as we have our official NFL rest of the year predictions. This is why we have the finale. This is why it's just me this week. This is why you get to see me in the cap and gown. not on the gown, but the cap at least. I am graduating, so we got to make sure we do everything right. We got to get the rest of this year. We can't just leave you guys on a cliffhanger at week 15. There's 3 more weeks to go. And then I'll also give you a little bit of a prediction of what I think is going to happen for the Super Bowl this year, and we'll see if I'm right at the end of it all. Because I won't be here, but you guys will be able to look back and tell me if I'm right or wrong, because I will be looking back at the comments or anybody that has anything to say. So let's get into this. As we have the Eagles. They're 11-2 right now, and the Eagles are a very, very good team. They have Saquon Barkley, they have Jalen Hurts, they have A.J. Brown, they have Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert just went on IR. He'll be probably coming back around the time for the playoffs, so don't be too scared about him not making it for the playoff run. He will be there. We need to see if they can keep their drama down, as A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts' drama did explode this week. I think it's nothing, as if you watch the last few weeks, every week we see Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown hugging each other, talking and high-fiving and getting excited, and then out of nowhere we have this. It doesn't make any sense. I think it's more so they're just upset about only averaging around 108 to 110 passing yards per game when you have an absolute elite MVP of a running back behind you. I think they're sounding the alarm for themselves for the Super Bowl run that they're trying to go on, which understandable. You got to be able to have a balanced attack on offense. Imagine if this team could actually pass the ball right. The Eagles will be blowing teams out by maybe 35 to 40 points a game. So really exciting to see if they can actually get this figured out. I think the Eagles are going to be winning out this year. The Moose Stat almost agrees with me. It disagrees on the game at Washington, where the Moose Stat has a 3-point favorite system of home teams, and the home team is the Commanders that week. So Eagles are going to lose to the home field advantage, not to the skill advantage between the teams. So that's very interesting there, making it a 15-2 or a 14-3 record between the two. Very good. I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to snatch the number 1 seed. I think they're going to be staying at number 2, maybe go down to number 3 if things go south just too much there the other way. Now, we have the Commanders. The Commanders have a lot going on. Same thing for the Eagles. We actually have an opposite situation between me and the Moose Stat. This is where we disagree. We disagree on the Eagles and Commanders game for the rest of the year, as they think the Commanders are going to be 12-5. They still don't think that the Commanders are going to have a chance, even if they win out, to just take the division, which makes sense. They're not taking the division. Shout out John. They're not taking the division. Stop it. So the Commanders are going to be in there. They're going to lose to the Eagles, in my prediction. The Moose Stat thinks they're going to win out the rest of the year. They don't have that hard of a schedule. They have the Saints, very easy team to beat, I feel like. They had the Eagles, hard team to beat. And they have 2 easy games against against the Cowboys and the Falcons, even though they lost against the Cowboys the first time. So don't forget about that. Commanders could lose again to the Cowboys, and I would not be surprised. Let's get into the next group, because we have the Cowboys right here. We have to talk about them as well. The Cowboys are a 5-8 team. They're not good. They're not good at all. And I predicted this entire year. I thought they might have a chance of being the 4th team in the NFC East. They're making a push for it, but at the same time, the Giants are just so bad that I don't think the Cowboys have a real chance at making that type of noise to be that close at a draft pick. So you look at it here in Carolina. The Carolina's been playing lights out recently, and I think Carolina's going to get a win against the Cowboys. So I think the Cowboys aren't going to win another game the rest of the year. Buccaneers are hot. Eagles, hot. Commanders need to beat the brakes off the Cowboys, because the Cowboys beat them last time, and you can't go out like that getting swept by your division rivals. So I could see this happening exactly how it goes. Moose Stat also says that the Cowboys will be winning against the Panthers. Not too surprising there, as the Panthers are one of the worst ranked teams for the Moose Stat in general. But going forward, we had the Giants. The Giants, 2-11. Horrible year. They're in the hunt for the number 1 overall pick, them and the Raiders. The Giants, though, I believe are going to be taking this as a massive, massive time to just lose games. Lose. Drew Lock's probably going to be coming back around the time for the Colts game, so that's why I think they'll beat the Colts. They have Tyrone Tracy, who's running really well. Malik Neighbors is playing out of his mind, and the coach is playing for his job. So to see this going on the way it is, I think the Ravens are a team that is someone we got to watch out for. The Ravens are someone that's going to probably win out the rest of the year. So Ravens beat the Giants. Giants lose to the Falcons. Giants beat the Colts. Giants lose to the Eagles. And that's the Moose Stat disagrees with me the whole way through. We don't need to talk about it too much more. The Giants are bad. They're not going to get the number 1 overall pick, though, in my opinion. Now, we're going to go over to the NFC West. We have to talk about the Seahawks. The Seahawks here, I have winning the next 3 games and then losing against the Rams at the end of the year in LA because that's a hard game to win. The Moose stat disagrees with me on them beating the Packers this week. I think that they will beat the Packers because the Packers are just they're due for a game that they're going to lose. They're not expected to lose, and the Packers they're going into Seattle. Seattle does pretty well in there. We might have Zach Charbonnet again, which if he plays lights out over Kenneth Walker. So we'll see if he can keep it going. I think the Seahawks are going to be able to beat the Packers. And, of course, the Moose stat agrees with me on basically everything but the Packer game. So 11-6 or 10-7. I think it's going to be 11-6. Moose Strat says 10-7 for the Seahawks. But that means we have a lot of stuff to keep going over because we have 11-6 for the Seahawks. We have 11-6 for the Rams. What's going to happen? The Rams are winning out. And the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks at the end of the year. So they might be able to take it as a tiebreaker and be able to make it into the playoffs and actually be a dangerous team in the playoffs. The Rams are scary. Rams, I don't think, are going to lose to the Niners. They're not going to lose to the Jets. They're not going to lose to the Cardinals. I really don't see them losing to the Seahawks unless the Seahawks have, again, Zach Charbonnet going at the same rate that Kenneth Walker does. So we have a lot to go over with them. The Rams are just very scary. They have a really young D-line, scary good D-line. If they can get any young quarterback behind Matthew Stafford to sit behind them for a year or two, they're going to be scary for the next few years to come. So watch out for the Rams. But that's not all because we keep on going in the NFC West. We have the Cardinals. Cardinals, I think, are going to win 3 games out of the 4. I think they're going to lose to the Rams. Of course, like I said, the Rams are going to win out. I think they have a very easy schedule. Niner fans are not going to like me in this next slide when I talk about them, but the Moose Stat thinks they're going to lose 2 games. We disagree on the Niner game because, of course, the Moose Stat thinks the Niners are a really good team. 9-7, my prediction. 8-9, the Moose Stat's prediction. But this is why Niner fans are not going to like me at all with this slide. I think the Niners are about to collapse pretty hard. Deebo Samuel's causing drama, saying he's not getting the ball. He's not struggling. He's just not getting the ball. And Brock Purdy is like, I agree with him. Don't know why you got to throw your quarterback underneath the bus like that. Doesn't make sense to me. On top of the war crimes, it feels like they are committing against their running back room, which you have Christian McCaffrey injured, Jordan Mason injured, you have Isaac Orlando injured. Who else are you going to injure on your running back lineup if you're the Niners? You have George Kittle. You have basically everyone. It's just constantly injury prone. It's just an injury prone team right now, and they need a fire strength conditioning coach. They need to get something figured out over there because it's just not working. Whatever they're doing, it's not working. And I don't know if the Niners are going to have a chance to really move forward and win games. I just don't see it. The Moose that disagrees with me though, the disagreeal is so much so that it is a difference between 3 games. It is a 6-11 record for me at the end of the year. It's a 9-8 record for the Moose Stat at the end of the year. Now, we don't need to talk about the Lions. Lions are just a juggernaut team. They're awesome to watch plays. 16-1. They're not losing number 1 spot in the playoffs. So, sorry, Eagle fans, including me. The Lions aren't going to lose the rest of the year. They're going to be the number 1 team in the NFL. Get used to it and get ready to see the rest of their division because it's a really good division. It's a really scary division. We're going to have 3 teams in the playoffs here, possibly, because I think the Vikings are about to lose out. I think the Bears are going to beat them convincingly. Just something about it tells me they will. Don't know why. The Seahawks are going to lose too. They're going to lose to the Packers. They're going to lose to the Lions. You can't really blame me against those ones. Packers, really good team. Lions, really good team. Seahawks, really good team. So that happens. The Moose Stat disagrees with me on 2 different spots. That's the Bears and the Packers, and that makes them go to 13-4. Or for me, they're staying at 11-6, 11-win team. Pretty good year for them. Just not going to be able to close it out the way they want to. The Packers, I have a completely different outlook on, though. I think they're going to lose to the Seahawks this week. Makes sense. They're going to win out the rest of the year, though. They're going to beat the Saints. They're going to beat the Vikings, and they're going to beat the Bears. They own the Bears, they own the Vikings, and they own the Saints. It's not going to be pretty at all. The Moose Stat disagrees with me on the Vikings game as it's in Minnesota. I could see that totally switching just in case it is. I don't think Minnesota's going to win. That's the game that's pretty close for me, I guess, between the 2 games. If I had to pick any of them, the Moose Stat's probably the one that I would be nervous about. But at the same time, I do think it's going to be 12-5. Moostat agrees with me, just in a different way. So going forward, we have the Bears. Bears are bearing it up. You're either going to get a 5-12 season or a 4-13 season. We don't need to talk about it too much. That's a hard schedule. Seahawks, Lions, Vikings, Packers. Ugh, that's tough, tough, tough. I don't know if you're going to win out unless you're going to win one game against the Vikings. I don't think you're going to lose to them. Just one of those teams that you got to beat one of your division rivals. You're not going to beat the Packers, though. Moving forward, don't need to talk about them too much. The Buccaneers, me and the Moostat have it on the same mentality as the Lions, basically, winning out. And the Eagles, for me at least, they're going to win out. And the Buccaneers are an absolute juggernaut of a team. They're going against a lot of bad teams, though, and two division rivals. They're going to win. They're going to just clinch themselves a 11-6 record. And that's going to make them be the playoff team in the NFC South because that's the number one ranked team for me, in my opinion. Then we have the 6-7 Falcons, who I believe are going to win 3 games against the next 4. They're going to beat the Raiders. They're going to beat the Pack. They're going to beat the Giants. They're going to beat the Panthers. They're going to lose to the Commanders. Commanders are a really dangerous team. Moostat agrees with me all the way through. 9-8 is your record at the end of the year. Falcons, in our opinion. Saints. We're both also agreeing all the way through. 3 losses, 1 win. They're both going to win against the Raiders. 6-11 is your record for the Saints. And if we want to get into it, we got the Panthers, who I believe are going to beat the Cowboys. So we have one disagreeable there with me and the Moostat. Pretty easy to pick the NFC South. Not too much to talk about with them. I think they're going to win against the Cowboys. 1 win, 4-13 or 3-14 is the record for those 2 teams. We're doing a little bit of a hustle because we need to get to the AFC before we run out of time here. Got too much going on. So we got them. The Steelers are going to lose 3 straight games. By the way, this is not me being rude against Steeler fans. I'm sorry. I like your team a lot. Team's really good. 10-3. I've been picking them all year long. But guess what? These next 3 games, the Eagles to the Chiefs. It starts on December 15th. And then from the Eagles game, it's December 15th. Chiefs game, December 25th. That's 10 days to play the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. That's not fair. The schedule makers absolutely just slaughtered the Pittsburgh Steelers for the rest of the year, basically, and their record is going to probably make them lose the AFC North, which is absolutely diabolical to think about because they've been absolutely destroying teams this year, but the Ravens aren't going to lose out. They're not going to lose a game this year. So that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to beat the Bengals because that's just an actual week to prepare and rest for it, but they're not going to be able to beat any of those 3 teams back to back to back. And the Moostat agrees with me. 11-6 is your record, Steeler fans. Better than what you thought beginning of the year, I believe. So going into it, me and the Moostat agree on this. They're going to win out, and that means 12-5 for the Ravens, which, like I said, Steeler fans, this sucks. 3 straight losses. The schedule makers screwed you. You have, and look at this, they have the Giants, the Browns, and the Texans at the end of the year. The Texans aren't doing too hot. They're not going to be able to beat the Ravens. They got 12-5 against 11-6. They're going to win the AFC North. So we're just going to move on because that's just, don't want to show that too long for all the Pittsburgh Steeler fans that I know and have to watch this. So sorry for you. But we're going to go into the Bengals game because we have to talk about the Bengals. I think they're going to win out. The Moostat basically agrees with me, just says they're going to lose to the Steelers at the end of the year, which doesn't surprise me too much. Steelers, really good team, but I just think the Bengals are going to win, which, by the way, I just realized I'm a little off on my graphic, so you'll see it when I get changed when we're talking. But yeah, no, I think the Steelers are going to lose that game as well, so that means that's 4 straight losses for them. So I think they're going to be 10-6. That's just sucks for them. So 10-6 for the Steelers, 9-8 for the Bengals, or 8-9 for the Moostat. So just crazy. That's just tough for them. I couldn't believe that when I looked at that for the Steelers. Like I'm still caught off on it. I can't believe the Ravens are going to take that division, in my opinion. The Browns, they're not winning another game. Famous Jameis is going to throw as many interceptions as he's going to throw touchdowns because that's just who he is. The Browns are not that good of a team. They're just going to continue to be the Browns. 3-14 is the end projection for both me and the Moostat by them. Now, the AFC East, we have the Bills. Very dangerous team. We both think they're going to lose to the Lions, but then guess what? You get 3 get-back games. 3 games to just get angry and smack around your division rivals and then rub some salt in the wound because they're both bad teams this year. The Patriots and the Jets are not going to be able to beat the Bills at all in any given way. The Lions are going to give the Bills their last loss of the season, and the Bills are going to end up with 13-4. Very good year for them. I think every Bills fan was going to be very excited about that if they could have gotten that. They know at the beginning of the year. So 13-4, good year for them. Dolphins, 6-7. I think they're going to win out the rest of the year. They're a really good team. Tua Tagovailoa is finding his way. Tyreek's finding his way. Jonnu Smith is an absolute dog. Devon Achane's playing lights out, and so is Jalen Waddle. This team's really good. They just need the quarterback to be there. He is the heartbeat of the Lions, so not too surprising to see that happen, but good job by the Dolphins. I think they're going to be able to win out. Moosehead disagrees. I think they're going to lose the next 2 games because it's the Texans and the Niners. I don't think the Texans are that good of a team this year, though, so we'll see what goes on from here. Good job by them. 10-7 or 8-9 is the rest of the outcome for them. We'll see what happens. Now, we have the Jets. Jets, I only have winning 1 game. That's against the Jags, and they have to face 3 hard teams. That's the Rams, Bills, and the Dolphins. They're not going to win those games. Moostat basically agrees with me besides the LA Rams game where they say it's 5-12 for the Jets because they're going to beat the Rams in their opinion. I disagree on that. And then, of course, the Patriots, tough season for them. They're not going to be able to win another game. 3-14 will be the end of the year. But guess what? You got Drake May, so you won this season. He's a really good quarterback. I'm excited to see him play for the Patriots for the rest of his career. And, yeah, I mean, really good team, just bad end of the year for them. 2 times you have to play the Bills. Tough. So we're going to move on over now to the AFC South. And, yeah, they're 8-5. The Texans are a really good team. But guess what? They're not going to be good enough to continue to win because they're going to lose 3 straight games. They have to face the Dolphins on fire, face the Chiefs on fire, face the Ravens on fire. Titans are the Titans, so they'll beat the Titans. But the Moose disagrees with me on 1 game, and that's the Dolphins game. They agree on the other ones, though. 10-7 or 9-8 is your record for the Texans this year. Now, the Colts, 9-8 possibility here because they're going to win the next 3 games, in my opinion, in the Titans, Jags, and the Giants. A lot of bad teams right there. Broncos, they're going to lose to, though, because the Broncos are a good team. And the Moosehead disagrees with me because they think they're going to lose to the Giants. Out of all teams, the Giants. I think the Moosehead's going to think they're going to lose to. So we'll see if that happens, but I just disagree on that. So 9-8 or 8-9 for the Colts. Now the Jags, I think the Jags are going to be able to beat the Raiders. The Moosehead disagrees. The Moosehead says the Raiders are going to win, which would hurt the Raiders' chances for getting their quarterback. So you don't want to see that if you're a Raiders fan. But I think it's going to be 4-13 for the Jags this year. The Moostat says it's going to be 3-14. Now the Titans, worst team in this division. Crazy to even think about. They're that bad of a division that we had to get to this point, and we're still talking about their bottom feeder teams. Just tough. The AFC South is not really that good, same as the NFC South. Now, the Bengals, Colts, and Texans are all going to beat the Titans, in my opinion. They're going to beat the Colts, though, in the Moostat's opinion, and they're both going to – the Titans are going to beat the Jags in Week 17 to both of us. So 4-13 is my prediction. 5-12 is the Moostat's prediction. We'll see if we're right on that. Now, AFC West, Chiefs, I just don't see them losing another game. Even though I don't think they're that good of a team, I don't think they're going to lose another game. They have to go against the Steelers. Probably the one game I would choose that they could lose. But out of all those games, the Steelers are on a 10-game of just getting beaten up by the Ravens and the Eagles. They're not going to be able to beat the Chiefs. So Chiefs win. 16-1 is their end stat. One of the worst 16-1 teams I think I've ever seen. But the Chiefs keep on finding ways because they're the Chiefs and they have Patrick Mahomes. Now, the Chargers, 8-5 this year right now, same as the Broncos. They're going to win 3 games, and they're going to lose 1. They're going to be 11-6. Now, Moostat agrees with me completely. We're going to look on the other side. Moostat also agrees with me on the Broncos. And if you saw, yeah, you would think that the Chargers are going to fall off and lose their spot in the playoffs, but guess what? The Broncos are going to be the team that does that because they're going to lose 3 games. They're going to go to a 9-8 record. The Moostat agrees with me, and just Broncos not going to have the season they thought they were at the end of the year. They could have made the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to be able to clinch it out. we'll see if Bo Nix is Bo Nix and he can upset one of those three teams. But the Chargers and the Broncos are going to have to face each other at some point, and that's going to be a massive, massive game, and that's Week 16. We'll see who's going to win that one. I think the Chargers take it out on top. And, of course, the last team in the NFL we're going to talk about, and the team in the city that I was born and raised in, that's the reason why we're going last with them, the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, they're going to get the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft next year. They have a really good team. And look, I'm going to break this down because a lot of people don't understand. The Raiders are the best set team in the draft to get a quarterback. They are just like the Commanders. They have $100+ million in cap space for next year. So you're going to have to be able to sign somebody. T. Higgins or Jamar Chase is going to be available. So sign one of them. The O-line is going to have to be upgraded. You have probably Andre James, I would put it at a guard. I'd keep Jackson Powers-Johnson at center. I'd probably put DJ Glaze over at a guard spot, and then I'd go sign 2 of the best tackles in offseason that I got. So I think the Raiders are really close. Their offense is close. They have all of that. You have T. Higgins or Jamar Chase. Add that to that team with Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers, and you have Trey Tucker on top of Sincere McCormick, who's a top 5 and Raiders history on his first 30 carries. Like, he's a monster. Why he didn't get started at all this year until now has been an absolute just mind blow to me because I don't understand it at all. He's an absolute dog. So him having that, you draft another running back in the draft, you draft your quarterback, and now that offense becomes a top 5 offense in the league. And on top of it, think about the defense. The defense has been hurt this year. Nate Hobbs is out. Marcus Epps is out. Malcolm Kuntz is out. Christian Wilkins is out. All of those are massive, massive names and could help that defense massively. I mean, Malcolm Kuntz, Christian Wilkins, Tyree Wilson, and Max Crosby is probably one of the top 3 D lines in the league, and we didn't even get to see a single snap of it this year. So I think the Raiders are really close. They have the best tight end in the league. They have the best tight end duo in the league. They have one of the best receiving cores in the league. And if they can add on another weapon and then add Shedeur Sanders to this team, the Raiders, watch out. They'll be competing next year. The AFC West will be the best team, best division in the NFL because of how competitive all 4 of those teams are going to be next year. But that's just my take. I think the Raiders are close. I think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl because, that's it. We got to talk about my little last predictions. My Super Bowl prediction for this year, because the playoffs are going to go the way they have. We've seen every team. We talked about every team. I believe wholeheartedly that the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions will be meeting up in the NFC Championship game. And I believe the Philadelphia Eagles will be pulling it out by probably 3 to 5 points. I know it sounds crazy. 5 points? Yeah, I could see a safety happening in that game. I could see a 2-point conversion being something that is a massive need for them, and they just go and they get it, and then they kick another field goal and they just secure the game. So either a 5-point victory or a 3-point victory for the Eagles against the Lions this year. And then for the AFC side of the ball, I'm going to be predicting that the Chiefs are going to lose in the first round that they're in. So yeah, Chiefs aren't going to be making it to the AFC Championship, in my opinion. I believe we will be seeing the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. So that means I think the Bills, in my opinion, are going to win that game. Josh Allen needs to get them back to the promised land. So we'll be seeing Eagles, Bills this year in the Super Bowl. And my Super Bowl champion this year is the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're going to repeat what happened in Philadelphia when they were wearing the Kelly Greens against the Bills. I think we'll be going to overtime. I think we'll be seeing the Eagles pull it out on top, as the Eagles will probably score on a touchdown on their first or second drive of the game because they have to do the answer back situation. The defense is on firing all cylinders. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to beat the Bills at the end of it, and I don't know what's going to happen when the Ravens, Bills, Eagles, Lions meet up in the championship game. We'll see what 4 of those teams make it in the Super Bowl. I think it's only down to those 4. But hey, this is it. My last episode. I'm graduating. So this is going to be it for me. I want to give a little bit of a thank you to everyone who's helped me. I want to start off by saying thank you to all of my teachers throughout growing up, to here. I've been born and raised in Las Vegas. It's been a true honor to be here at UNLV, to be able to graduate in Las Vegas, go to such a great university, such great people, great professors, great students. I mean, thank you to Mr. Mihalsik for my nickname in Moose, and thank you for letting me be who I am, keeping me up to where I am. Thank you to the sports that I've played and the coaches that I have known who've kept me to be who I am. Thank you to my parents for everything you've done for me. My mom and my dad, they've done everything they can to help me be as successful as I can. So thank you to them as well. And of course, I want to name off the main professors to me that have helped me out the most here at UNLV. Thank you to all my professors, first and foremost, because they've done so much, but the main ones to me who've helped me and seen me grow basically through the last 4 years. I want to say thank you to Ben Morse. I want to say thank you to Ryan Thorpe. I want to say thank you to Dave Norse. I want to say thank you to Kevin E. Martin. I want to say thank you to Dr. Stoker. I want to say thank you to Sean. I want to say thank you to Professor Ream. And I want to say thank you to Ashton, to Jason, and to Matt Peralt. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. This is the last time you'll see me. Thank you to Will Lewin, Kyle Sparrow, and Jake Gruel for being such great partners this year in the Moose Trail. You guys are the first people to say yes and give the Moose Trail a chance. And thank you to the next group of people who will be joining us next semester. Keep your eyes out for that. The next 30-minute digital process will be between these 4 people, as I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview. We have Olivia, we have Will Lewin, we have Ethan Kugler, and we have Kyle Sparrow, all making it back for next year from the Moose Trail, or whatever they decide to call it. Who knows? It could be the Moose Trail, it could be something else. But without further ado, I'm your host, Chris the Moose Johnson, signing off for the last time in my college career. I'll see you guys sometime in the future. And yep, oh, I missed it. That'll be all.